Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and what the hell is going on with Dallas Fuel? Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at Dallas. Josh is going to break them down in great detail, and we're going to try and work out what is the problem with this team, because on paper, this team should be one of, if not the best Western team in the entire Overwatch League. Remember, before Overwatch League began, a lot of people were putting this team as third best in the league, or even fourth best, some even second best in the league. What has actually happened, though, is a complete Dallas disaster. The question is, what's going on? Well, let's hand this over to Josh, and he'll break this down. As I say, it is a very interesting tale. I hope Dallas get better in time. They are a fantastic team, and nobody likes to see a team just lose over and over again. Oh!
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. My name is Josh, and I'm going to be talking all about Dallas Fuel with you today. Now, we're going to be doing it to the backdrop of a Hanamura match, but really this is going to be focused more on talking about the overarching problems that Dallas Fuel seem to be facing. This is coming off the back of, the recent XQC ban, or, well, not even ban, suspension, followed by his dismissal from the Dallas Fuel. Also, some of the snippets that we've heard from stuff like Effect AMA, where Effect very publicly on a Korean website called Invin went and did an AMA and addressed some of his concerns, shall we say, from the team. Various snippets as well from various streams and various bits and pieces that I've managed to pick up on sort of the back end, hearing one or two things from different people and stuff like that, all sort of coming together to outline the real issues facing this Dallas Fuel team that have been underperforming since pretty much day one. They looked okay during the preseason, but ever since then, it's just been nothing but flat on their faces. Now, this will be a relatively standard pro overanalyze. We will still be talking about the game, we will be talking about how a pro-level Hanamura works, and we'll also be talking a lot about how pro-level communication works. I've actually done a video on this before for the Unit Lost channel, so if you want to go and try and find that one, it's out there somewhere. And we talk about sort of what is a shot caller, what is a target caller, all that kind of stuff. Because this roster that Dallas Fuel are running with Effect, Taimu, Mickey, Rascal, Chips, and Custer was called out a little bit as being a little bit unorthodox. I have heard that Dallas is changing how they're structuring behind the scenes a little bit in terms of who's managing the team and who's sorting out what roster's being played and stuff like that, and how hands-on or hands-off the sort of parent organization of Envious is going to be with the Dallas Fuel. But one or two people were concerned about this, like why is Custer not on the Zen, why is Chips on the Zen, stuff like that. Chips is a long-time Zenyatta player. I have no issues with Zen being picked up by Chips, and the reason why Chips is on Zen is simple, is that Chips is not a Lucio player. He can probably play every support but Lucio, and also Custer has the metal of a team captain about him. Every single time that Dallas Fuel seem to have an issue, Custer seems to be the one to step up to the plate, talk reasonably about it on his stream, and break down what's happening. Now, we will throw in a pause arena just to talk about the team comps and just to talk about the lineups and how Hanamura normally works. Okay, so Dallas, as you can see, running as dive could be. Oh, I shouldn't use the white here. There we go. Let's try the magenta. So Dallas running dive as dive could be, right? Genji Tracer, the Korean duo, as well as Effect and Rascal. Rascal, relatively new to the team. His integration is going to be a bit slow as he needs to brush up on his English, get used to English communications and stuff like that. So his comms are always going to be a bit spotty until he gets better at that English. He can understand and interact with the team properly and see what he can do from there. Meanwhile, Taimu playing on that main tank role. No huge surprise there. He's being sort of groomed for the role. He's being trained into it because they want him for his shot calling. Recently lost confidence in his ability to do DPS, so he's currently in training basically for that Winston role. Mickey also on the D.Va, no huge shock there. Mickey's been a long time D.Va player. Recently now is flexing out to more off tanks as he needs to play more than just D.Va. Even if it is sort of still a D.Va meta, Roadhog's definitely coming more to the fore as well. They need that Roadhog available to them for the Roadhog Orisa maps, and so that's why we're seeing him branch out more. Meanwhile, Philly fielding Snillo for a change, just bringing him in. I think this was the week where he came of age, so he's just sort of getting some training here. Philadelphia, running Philadelphia comp, right? Like this is what you're going to see Philly run 99.9% of times. Tracer Genji and just an aggro dive. The only sort of interesting thing is the Ana, but that is perfectly standard for Hanamura. So as we roll it out, let's talk about how Hanamura usually goes and then what we're going to see. So Hanamura normally has the enemy team sort of defending to that far back right, a little bit sort of where you can see the supports for Philadelphia Fusion right now. That's perfectly standard. Normally what you'll see is the teams try and sort of get around the back where Rascal is at the moment, maybe a little bit more to the left, try and get round to the side, sort of go through the pagoda, get round that back side of the point, and then fight across the point. Instead what we're going to see is Dallas Dallas do something a little bit different, which is just sort of try and pressure out from this high ground, well, try and pressure out from the choke, and then just go straight in for the backline. Now, because Philadelphia aren't running a Soldier 76, this works a little bit better and allows Timu to get a very early kill on Neptuno, which sets them up quite nicely, and it looks okay so far, right? So far, so good. They managed to kill one of the supports. Philadelphia, are in a little bit of trouble as well. Their tanks are dropping very low. They only have Boombox to get some healing. Healing done. Zenyatta's not going to be enough to heal up these massive tanks that really need more, so it's looking good for Dallas, right? And even if they do start taking trades, it's still a-okay because, hey, you know, you've got a spawn distance that's way closer. So it's looking good, it's looking good, it's looking good, until this moment here when EQO is getting ready to Dragon Blade. Philadelphia decided they're going to go for it, and lo and behold, 2 support ultimates come out of Dallas Fuel. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. This is very important because you want at least one of those for the snowball, especially because Ana on defense is very common on Hanamura. If you have 2 of those very sustaining, powerful support ultimates, like the Zenyatta Trance and Lucio Sound Barrier, and you have a Dragon Blade, well then you can just fight around the idea of forcing Boombox, for example, to use his Trance, and then maybe get something out of it. If Boombox has already used his Trance, and you have Trance Dragon Blade, you can just win on the next point. So both of these guys using the ultimates sort of is the first signs that, hey, communication, not really clean, right? Like the supports aren't communicating properly about who's going to react to what's happening. Chips, I think, definitely should have been the one that needs to say, okay, I'm going to use trance. Like, if they're engaging, I'm trancing, because the issue with Sound Barrier, of course, is that Lucio has to touch the ground, basically. It's got a delay to it, and so you can get that Transcendence out a lot faster. It's a more powerful ultimate in general, and so it's going to just be a little bit safer, easier, and more reliable, and then they can just use Sound Barrier, Dragon Blade, engage in the next fight, and it looks great. Instead, you end up with this complete mess of a fight, which doesn't really go too well. Dallas instantly have to change up the tactics. Rascal brings out the Soldier 76, which is, again, standard Hanamura, right? This sets you up for a good win condition on this map, and so let's outline the win condition and go from there. So to win on Hanamura, and this is true for like almost all 2CP, when you're playing these Soldier 76 comps, is you want to have a fight on the point and Soldier 76 on the high ground, preferably with an ultimate, and preferably with the enemy team with no support ultimates. And if you get that situation, then you are really going to do well. You can see Snillo looking for a backline flank though, and this is one of the big things you're going to watch during Hanamura. This is mostly the Diva's responsibility, something of the Tracer's responsibility as well. They want to stop Snillo sort of coming in from the backside and throwing in a bomb. Now, Philadelphia just retaliate here. They use the Dragon Blade. Dallas Fuel don't have any support ultimates. This is fine. This is a-okay. No one gets stalled out too much, or at least no one gets stalled out at all, I think, here. So they are fine with this. Like, Philadelphia throw an ult in. Okay, it's fine. Dallas maybe should have been able to survive that, but they all got clumped up because they were slow pushing through the corridor. Didn't really put too much pressure on, weren't decisive enough to get something done. They died to the Dragon Blade. Alright, this isn't the end of the world, basically. So instead, what they're going to do now is, well, they have 2 support ultimates coming online, and now they can start getting something done. So you see this dive coming in onto the supports, onto Boombox straight away, but as this is happening, Philadelphia are counter-diving. They're diving the backline, and Dallas don't react to it at all. They have nothing to react to it with at the time, and so they can't survive it, right? They can't do anything about Fraggy, Poco, EQO, and Snillo just coming in and killing everybody on that backline. And it's a complete disaster for them. So Dallas now lose this fight. Philadelphia Fusion have built up their ultimates, and now this is where the communication really comes into things. And this is where I want to sort of sidetrack a little bit and talk a little bit about an AMA that Effect recently did, because Effect, I did a Probing the Many, which is sort of, you know, I'm one amongst many, so I call my series Coaching the Many and Probing the Many on Twitch, and I did Probing the Many on a Dallas series, and someone asked very intelligently and very correctly, like, what does Effect bring to the team? Why is Effect still on this team? Like, he doesn't seem to be as huge of a player as he used to be on that envious roster. Well, Effect very recently did an AMA on Inven, and where he talked about his sort of experiences on this team, and like how he's had to change his playstyle with the losses and his frustrations with the team and stuff like that. It was a very open AMA where he talked about, you know, maybe there's going to be changes, roster changes in particular, coaching changes, staff changes, all that kind of stuff. Like, Dallas might need a full restructure in his eyes from the sound of things. And one of the most interesting things he was talking about was how he's had to change his playstyle because of a lack of confidence in the team. Like, Rascal dying here, to me, just shows that Dallas don't understand, like, their win condition here. They were in a really good position. The enemy team had used the nano boost. They'd survived most of it. I think only one person had died. They could easily regroup, going for another push, but no support ultimate was used. No aggressive, decisive ultimate was used. And, like, part of why they might be doing that is they might be holding on to these for EQO, and they're worried about the Dragon Blade, but it's like, Dallas are on the offensive here. They have the initiative. They need to play like they have the initiative, and they need to get something done with these ultimates instead of just sort of sat on their hands waiting for Philadelphia to do something. And by the time Philadelphia have done something, Dallas Fuel are already losing because Philadelphia are decisive as hell, and they get results when they want to make a play. Dallas Fuel aren't making any plays, and now they're sat in a bank of 5 ultimates. Anyway, effect. Right, let's get back to it. You're used to rambling. This is unit lost. I rambles all the time, so I can do it too. This is, by the way, the standard tracer flank. Luckily, no one dies to it. Great. Okay, so Effect had to change his playstyle because Effect just noticed that when he used to play super aggressive, and this is just bad, by the way, like, they need to use a support ultimate. Why isn't Rascal being supported? Why isn't Rascal being helped? Like, that is so bad. He can't use that visor into the enemy ult. Like, you cannot use that visor into Transcendence. Because if you do, then, yeah, you're just not going to get results. Philadelphia, they have a mobile team that's just going to melt away, hide, and they're going to be A-OK. Meanwhile, Dallas still sat on these 2 support ults, by the way. They haven't used Trance or Sound Barrier at all for, like, the last 4 pushes. It's ridiculous. Again, lack of decisive shot calling, lack of plan, lack of initiative. But yeah, Effect. Again, I'm going to finish this point at some point, trust me. Effect has had to change how he plays. He has to play a lot more passively because when he dies, he's noticed that, you know, the team has nothing. The team just fades away and sort of melts into nothing. So Effect is having to play way more passive. He's having to play way more careful because if he tries to play bold, his team just don't have the presence and the support to back him up in doing that, and so it just never seems to work out. And it's really starting to cause problems for Dallas Fuel because now Effect is effectively like, he's in his own head about how aggressive and how well he can play on the Tracer. Taimu's lost confidence as well. Chips apparently isn't talking. Custer's trying to step up to the plate. Taimu's changed role, and it's just chaos. It's just anarchy. And this is why, like, wins and coordination and, like, step-by-step looks at the game is so important for Dallas Fuel. Like, they need to just try and get every single small advantage, small win that they can, because, my God, this is literally back to basic stuff. They need to sort out who is the shot caller, who is the one making the plans, are the plans they're making good, how are they doing it, is it an efficient process, do they just go through, like, the rota after every single fight, do they start team fights with a plan? Like, do they have a plan? Do they know who's going to, like, how are we going to initiate this fight? What are we looking to achieve? What are we looking to do? And this sounds like a huge thing, but it really isn't. It's actually quite simple to set up. We did it in Team UK, and you can definitely do it on Dallas Fuel, no problem. So, yeah, it's mind-blowing to me. And, like, this final moment, like, Taimu's here out on his own. Is he trying to touch? Like, it's 10 seconds too early to try and touch. Why was Taimu just in the middle of the point? I don't quite understand this one. And then just the piece de la resistance is, yeah, it's C9 lol in the comments, I suppose, not in the chat, not streaming. Just highlights so many issues with Dallas Fuel. Like, the comms are terrible, and you can hear it in a clip here that we have for you.
Ready to be playing support today.
I use Viper.
Chase first. Yeah. Monkey.
No.
Chase behind. I got him. Me. And off him. Nice.
I need help. Here.
I'm trying.
Somebody call.
Hold him back. Fall back, Mickey. Fall back. Backing. Reset. We need to work together. Our backline's getting split up super hard.
Stay. Yeah, you have to stay together. If I call push is go push.
Yeah.
Now, Effect also went on in this AMA to address the fact that it's not even like communication is lacking, like no one is talking or something like that. It's that they don't know how to communicate. And that to me is just, it was mind-blowing to read because they've had the same coach for the last, you know, two splits, and also this is the same guy that coached Team USA. Kai is also an ex-player, used to play for, I'm just going off the top of my head, I believe it was Cloud9. I'm probably going to get that wrong without double-checking it, but I'm pretty sure it was Cloud9. But yeah, Kai is well known as a player and like a shot caller and a team leader, and if they don't know how to communicate, like, that is so fundamental. It's no wonder they're having problems, and it makes me worried about, like, how Rascal and AKM, for example, are going to be doing on these points. Now, Dallas are going to be playing a dive defense of their own. Again, no Soldier 76, because Rascal apparently wants to play Genji, or, you know, they want to try and play a dive roster. Well, if they're going to play dive, they've got to get it absolutely spot on at the moment. And again, Taimu just seems to be a little bit caught out, manages to jump away, gets the support. Okay, it's fine. Again, Philly just going to muscle pretty much straight onto the point. You see how low Boombox is at the moment? Is the focus on him? Not really. We saw Genji sort of, well, we saw Rascal near EQO. We don't know where Boombox is at the moment now. And Philly have managed to set themselves up in position now behind the point, which is where they wanted to go. Like, Philly didn't even want to fight there, really, in my mind. Philly want to set up for a proper engagement, which is what they've managed to do now. They're all in position, all ready to go. They've got them nice and clean, no losses, and it's all A-OK. Boombox is in a great position, Neptuno's in a great position, the tanks are in a good position, and as a result, they managed to get some kills. Rascal goes in for a super early Dragon Blade, but just gets shut down because he's unsupported, because he's trying to dive into a backline super deep, and only has a Zenyatta perhaps to rely on, who's already dead, and Ana can't heal him over there. So he's unsupported in trying to do that. There's no tanks, there's no anything for him, and it's just a complete and utter nightmare. And Philadelphia have set themselves up in a great position to take this as a snowball. They have 2 support ultimates, they have Dragon Blade, they have Pulse Bomb as a wild card as well, so they can just send Snillo in, try and bomb something, see if you get something, see if you can blow up a tank, or see if you can just kill a support. Who knows? It's a Pulse Bomb, it could do anything. And so Philly, like, this is how it should look, right, when you're moving from point A to point B. And even if Dallas managed to get, like, Chips and Rascal in synergy, managed to get the Transcendence and the Dragon Blade up and running at the same time, I guarantee you Philly wouldn't use both of their support ults at the same time. They would have worked that stuff out, and Boombox and Neptuno have played with each other long enough, they know each other well enough, and they would have worked out who's going to be getting that support ult done. Like, it's such a basic error to be making at this point. Taimu goes in on the backline, they try and use this Ana ult, they try and use the nano boost, send Winston in, try and get a kill or two, doesn't really come to much fruition, they manage to get 1 at the end of the day, and now Taimu does this surreal thing, and again, this might just be inexperience, this is sort of the disadvantage of training a tank, which is Taimu just jumps super far in the backline, 1,000 hit points, amazing, it's a Winston, oh wait, it's a Discord orb, it's an entire team shooting the Winston, and Chori managed to corner one of the supports, he cornered Boombox for a while there, but he's not going to last long enough, especially unsupported, and again, unfocused, like Taimu went super deep, the supports can't help him, Mickey doesn't know whether he should be in or out. Effect doesn't know whether he should be in or out. Like, no one seems to know what they're doing. There didn't seem to be a plan there, a cohesive idea of, oh, well, we're just going to send in a primal raise and try and kill someone on the backline. Nope. Instead, Timer just goes in on his own and gets stuck and dies. If there was a plan there, it wasn't executed. If there wasn't a plan there, then Taimu messed up, basically. And this seems to happen so often to Dallas Fuel, right? It seems like they're playing past each other, it seems like they're almost playing against each other at times, and they just don't have a cohesive plan. Like, they need someone just making plans. And I hope whatever person is leading this team has a plan, because by God do they need one. I really do hope they sort their mess out, so to speak, because, I was going to say a different word there, because this is a team with a lot of players I like. Like, AKM has been a huge star. Rascal is an amazing player and one of my favorites. I was very sad to see that you didn't get much play in Spitfire, but, you know, that's how it goes. And they have some of the most lively and interesting personalities in Overwatch League. I just wish they'd win. Alright guys, thanks for watching to the end. I've been Josh, as one voice amongst many, and I hope to see you next time. Alright guys, toodles.